The Ottoman Empire was one of the largest and most powerful empires in history, ruling much of southeastern Europe, Western Asia, and North Africa for over 600 years. It was founded in 1299 by a man named Osman I, and at its peak, it was home to a diverse population of Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people. The empire was known for its beautiful buildings with domes and arches. These buildings still exist today, showing how skilled the people were at architecture. Over time, the empire faced challenges and changes. They tried to modernize and adapt to new ways of doing things. But eventually, the empire got involved in World War I and ended up on the losing side. This led to its downfall. After the war, the empire was split up, and new countries were formed. However, there is still a great deal of interest in the empire, and many people wonder what would happen if it reunited today. In this video, we'll explore the hypothetical reunification of the Ottoman Empire and imagine what it would look like if it existed today. The Ottoman Empire was like a super big empire that covered many places. It was so big that it covered parts of three major areas: Europe, Asia, and Africa. On one side, it touched southeastern Europe. This means it shares borders with countries like Greece, Bulgaria, and Romania. These were places where the empire and these countries were next to each other. Then, the empire extended into Western Asia, bordering countries like Iraq, Syria, and even Saudi Arabia. And on the other side, it went into Northern Africa, reaching countries like Egypt, Libya, and Algeria. These countries were also connected to the empire. So, you can see that the Ottoman Empire was like a big blanket that covered many places. It was enormous and bordered many different countries along its edges. At its peak, the Ottoman Empire covered around 5.2 million square kilometers, which is around 2 million square miles. This vast area included parts of southeastern Europe, Western Asia, and Northern Africa. It was one of the largest empires in history in terms of territorial extent. The Ottoman Empire's size would rank it as the 7th biggest country when measured by land area. It would be just a little smaller than Australia, which is around 7.7 million square kilometers or about 4.7 million square miles in size. During the Ottoman Empire's territorial height, particularly around 1683 before the Siege of Vienna, the Ottoman Empire had these two very important and strategic locations for very different reasons. The first one is Constantinople, which is now called Istanbul. This was a city that really mattered a lot during the time of the Ottoman Empire. It was like the most important city because it was where all the important decisions were made, and where the economy was strong. It was in a super important spot because it was like the meeting point between Europe and Asia. So it controlled the paths that goods and trade took. This also helped it have influence over the nearby areas. People from different backgrounds lived there, and it had a really long history, so it showed how strong the Ottoman Empire was. Cairo was also a big deal for the Ottoman Empire because it was a place where a lot of trade happened, where people had smart discussions and shared ideas, and where religion was really important. This made the city rich and contributed to the Ottoman Empire in valuable ways. Cairo was extra important because it was connected to important trade routes around the Red Sea, making it even more valuable to the empire. At its peak, during the 16th and 17th centuries, the population of the Ottoman Empire is estimated to have been around 25 to 30 million people. This made it one of the most populous and diverse empires in the world at the time. But if you consider that today there are around 80 million people in Turkey alone, you can imagine that if the Ottoman Empire existed today, its population would be significantly larger. But if we consider all the countries that the Ottoman Empire occupied, this would result in an estimated present-day population of around 284 million. That would position the Ottoman Empire as the fourth largest population, immediately following the United States with approximately 331 million, and then Indonesia with around 273 million. Based on the estimated total population of around 284 million people for the countries that were historically part of the Ottoman Empire's occupied territories, let's explore a rough breakdown of the religious composition. Islam is likely to be the dominant religion, reflecting the Ottoman Empire's historical legacy. Sunni Islam would likely be the majority, followed by various other sects, including Shia Islam. Christianity would also be significant, with multiple Christian present. This includes Eastern Orthodox Christianity, particularly in Greece and parts of the Balkans, as well as various Catholic and Protestant communities. and the remainder would consist of Jews and atheists. If we were to represent this distribution in percentages, it would look approximately like this. Around 80 to 85% of the total population would adhere to Islam, while approximately 10 to 15% would follow Christianity. The remaining 5% would encompass atheists, Jews, and individuals practicing other religions. The Ottoman population would primarily be composed of Arabs, making up approximately 30 to 35%. Following that, ethnic Turks would account for around 15 to 20% of the population. Kurds would constitute 10 to 15%, while Slavic groups would also contribute another 10 to 15%. The remaining portion would comprise various other ethnicities hailing from Greece, Albania, and other countries. Given the diversity of ethnicities present, determining the official language can be challenging. However, considering the population composition, it is likely that the official language would lean towards being Turkish or Arabic. Given the vast and varied population, the GDP of the Ottoman Empire could have reached approximately $2 to $3 trillion. This would position the empire as the seventh largest economy, closely following India with slightly over $3 trillion and right after the United Kingdom at $2.8 trillion. When we think about how strong the Ottoman Empire's military was compared to today, it's likely they would be seen as a big and important military power, maybe even one of the top 5. In the past, the Ottoman Empire had a really strong military, and they could put around 200,000 soldiers on the field, which was a lot back then. This made them known for being tough and skilled in battles. Having a strong military and power is important because the Ottoman Empire might find itself in the middle of conflicts with nearby countries, which they need to solve somehow. Russia, Europe, Saudi Arabia, and Iran are countries with their own issues, and they might think about attacking the Ottoman Empire to stop it from getting larger. This is also what happened in the Battle of Vienna. The Ottoman Empire were surprised by the attack of the Polish king, which prevented the Ottoman Empire expanding. Thinking about how big and strong their military was, we're left wondering, why did the Ottoman Empire eventually collapse? This is a difficult question with not just one answer, but many different reasons that all contributed to the Ottoman Empire's collapse. The Ottoman military, which used to be really strong, became weaker over time. Other countries were getting better at fighting, and the Ottoman military couldn't keep up. The world was changing, and the Ottoman Empire didn't change with it. Other countries were becoming more advanced, but the empire didn't keep up with new ideas and technologies. Not only that, but the empire had problems with money. They didn't manage their finances well, and this caused economic difficulties. People in the empire had trouble affording things they needed, and this made the empire weaker. When the empire became weaker and weaker, other strong countries started taking over parts of the Ottoman Empire's land. This made the empire lose territory and power. What also happened was that different groups of people within the empire didn't always get along. They wanted more control over their own regions, and this caused conflicts. Did you enjoy watching this video? If you did, we'd be super happy if you could click the thumbs up button and also subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll get to see more cool videos from us. If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to write them in the comments below.